4 companies have overtaken our world and our lives without us even realising it. They've slipped in under our noses and have created a society that relies and thrives thanks to their help. However, what we see isn't always the truth. We see 4 businesses striving to facilitate our lives and make everything easier. They help us to find whatever we need. They help us to buy it once we've found it. They've become the things we need to buy, and they've become the places we share the purchase. They've become ingrained in our lifestyle, and without realising it, we now struggle to live without them. These are the 4 most influential companies in the world: Facebook, Apple, Google, and Amazon. What's the secret to their takeover? What makes their brands the best of the best? And are they as angelic as they seem? In this 4-part series, we take a look into each company to work out who's the best of the best of the best, and who's done the worst of the worst. This is EntreConnect on the 4 Horsemen of the business apocalypse. Facebook is our first horseman. The social media company has overrun the internet in the era of sharing our lives online. Whether through Facebook itself, Instagram or WhatsApp, 3 of the 5 companies to reach 100 million users the fastest, we continue to show off our lives, promote our content, and generally post, message and procrastinate on their platforms. Mark Zuckerberg is a celebrity these days. His and Facebook's story has been told time after time, from deposition to movie theatre, from every perspective imaginable, yet still missing the full truth. With a platform that can target the heart with such ease by connecting us to practically the entire world, but most importantly our long lost friends and family, there's no surprise that people spend more time on Facebook Inc.'s sites than anything else when you exclude family, work and sleep. The Zuck has raised a young horseman with plenty of life in it, and it's taken hold of us like a drug. Currently there are 2.6 billion active users on Facebook, starting in a Harvard dorm room exclusively for harvard.edu email addresses, moving from school to school in the US, hopping the Atlantic to Oxford and Cambridge, then swiftly beginning to span the globe. Facebook as a platform became a lifestyle. As time goes on though, tastes change, and while Facebook is still growing, the younger generation has tended to steer clear of it. The content isn't video and photo centric enough for the shorter attention span that Gen Z are graced with. So what does Facebook do? They buy the thing that the rest are using, Instagram. With just 11 employees at the time, the $1 billion price tag in 2012 seemed slightly excessive. Instagram was Facebook's answer to Snapchat. Snapchat was growing a little bit too quickly and they needed to compete. The Stories feature of Instagram allowed Facebook to offer a more Snap-style interface, all under their own umbrella. WhatsApp was a different story. If you think $1 billion for Instagram was excessive, $19 billion for WhatsApp in 2014, another small company, might make you sweat behind the knees. There are seriously good reasons for it though, and it's helped Facebook grow bigger and stronger year upon year. WhatsApp, according to confidential charts released in 2018, had almost 5 billion more messages sent per day than Facebook's mobile messenger. While Facebook Messenger had more downloads, WhatsApp clearly held the engagement, and so buying it did 2 things. Firstly, it took a huge competitor away before it was too big to be beaten. Secondly, it immediately put the 8.2 billion messages sent per day into the palm of Facebook's hand. If you can't beat them, buy them. While users and messages are vastly important for any social media site, so is money. Facebook's market cap as of the 19th of June is $677.77 billion. While investment and general stock market activity has a massive influence on their value, the main way Facebook makes money is through advertising. Facebook has one of the most vast networks of information in the world. That's step 1 to drawing advertisers. Knowing that much about your users means you know their likes and dislikes, probably better than the individual themselves. Knowing likes and dislikes means you can provide advertisers with their exact target market, and then push the adverts exclusively to the people who want to buy their products. That's some of the most efficient advertising available. Facebook has over 7 million advertisers using their sites. Companies pay an average of 97 cents per click to advertise on Facebook platforms. Twitter has 82% of all posts on social media, however Instagram and Facebook take up 99% of engagements on social media, likes, shares and that sort of thing. If you put that into consideration and think that every click on an ad Facebook receives is almost $1, you can understand where the billions are coming from. The reason we all go on Facebook is for social connection, isn't it? We like being connected with our friends as often as we possibly can be, and with a platform to do it on, we have been given the social network. The need for social connection stems from the link between happiness and relationships. The relationships have a massively positive increase on our level of happiness. The more positive relationships we have, the happier we are. It also happens that when single, we post a lot more, peaking just before a relationship starts with just over 1.64 posts per day. and then shooting down when we start in a relationship. It reminds me of the quote from Facebook's own biopic.
Relationship status. Interested in. This is what drives life in college. Are you having sex or aren't you? It's why people take certain classes and sit where they sit and do what they do when at some center, that's what the Facebook is going to be about. People are going to log on because after all the cake and watermelon, there's a chance they're actually going to get laid. Meet a girl. Yes.
Facebook targets the heart. We want to be with people and we want to be connected. It's simple. It all started from exclusivity, but it could only get bigger by getting less and less exclusive. People moved onto the site because their friends are on there. They want to be included in the biggest club in the world. If you're not on Facebook or Instagram, you're either old or a bit weird. That's how Facebook's brand draws us in. Something that all the four horsemen have in common is power. They have an ability to get away with things. For Facebook, information and data are power. In the data world, intelligence and receptors exist. Intelligence is the data itself, the amount that a company picks up on about their users, and receptors are the users themselves. The power of data comes from getting the most intelligence from the most receptors. If you could get 100% of data, but you only have one user, there's no power. If you have billions of users, but don't know much about them at all, power is once again limited. If you have billions of users and know almost everything about them, you have the perfect power cocktail. The ability to get this data comes in sketchier forms the more you need to get. The marginal cost of data goes up and up. Facebook claims they're not recording conversations, however, audio is recorded to work out what sort of environment the phone is in. They claim no advert tailoring comes from recorded conversations, but keywords are used to track preferences. It's corners they're allowed to cut and get away with a slap on the wrist for. Facebook has hundreds of thousands of websites tracking your clicks using their program Pixel. They track what you buy, what you watch, and how you browse. This is where data comes from. The legality is blurred, but with power comes the ability to escape the law relatively unscathed. Which moves on to the real question about the Four Horsemen. Are they good or evil? Facebook provides us with a massive service: connection. Without connection, we lose our ability to stay social and it puts us out of touch with society. We don't have our friends at the tips of our fingers or the news or a variety of media. The service is so important to us that we're willing to give up our privacy to use it. There's no doubt that's phenomenal. However, there is an evil side to Facebook, as there is with all the horsemen. Their behaviour is incredibly anti-competitive, as seen by just buying off their competitors. There are also severe issues with how they approach political propaganda, especially in the US, where political bias in the media is a lot more prominent. Clicking on articles from one side of the political spectrum starts a journey of recommendation to similar articles. The more you read, the more you tend to believe with that school of thought, because you're only ever seeing one perspective. It's a subliminal swaying of the country's voters. Business shouldn't interfere with politics, but it so often does. But this creates a view of power that Facebook truly has.
That a competitive market is the way to hold Mark and Facebook accountable. Right now, they are not accountable.
If they truly wanted to go rogue, they could do so in a terrifying way. It's the same with fake news. It's incredibly hard to control what goes out and to verify every source, but Facebook doesn't even try. They lean heavily on freedom of speech to get away with it. This might not have been such an issue if 67% of Americans didn't get their news from Facebook. There's more focus on banning the easy stuff, like hate speech, because, well, it's easy. They've got away with a myriad of lawsuits by claiming they're a platform and not a media outlet.
Well, I agree that we're responsible for the content, but we don't produce the content.
That technically is true, so they get away with it. However, the issue is, they're the platform giving mass reach and making money from providing the reach for fake news. So surely there's some sort of responsibility. If a burger joint accidentally sold horse meat burgers because their provider made a pretty big error, they wouldn't get away scot-free, but Facebook would for a social equivalent. Just looking at Zuckerberg, with the power very few have ever wielded, the intelligence to use the power in so many ways and the ability to find loopholes in the law, it makes him a potentially very dangerous man. With all that taken into account, it's time to give the verdict. Just how good is Facebook? It's worth giving up your privacy for, and connection to the whole world is worth its weight in gold. The numbers don't lie about quality, but relative to the rest of the four companies, Facebook receives 4 out of 5 stars for how good it is. However, Facebook's power, data, and choice to simply stand back and watch instead of taking responsibility for issues like fake news and political sway leads them to a 3 out of 5 on the evil scale, with a potential to be 5 out of 5 due to the Zuck's potential power. And that's the first horseman. Only 3 remain.